Welcome to Lobster Magnets Review, the channel of the review. I'm here with my good old buddy Gorogregoro. We are here to talk about the most recent chapter of One Piece. One Piece, it's the name of the treasure in the
The
grand
Grand
line.
Line. Yayo, yayo. Set sail for Edoff.
Yeah, Elf. Yeah,
Elboff.
we're finally there. God, it was introduced like how many chapters ago? Like 700 chapters or something. We heard about Little Garden,
Yeah.
and we met Dory and Broggy only to learn that they're part of this epic history. It's all tied into Big Mom's backstory. I was really, really pleased with this chapter. I think seeing Big Mom's backstory, like, so far it doesn't quite like make her sympathetic, but it is really, really interesting to learn how her sort of ideology came about. Now that she's like this inhuman monster that even as like a 5-year-old child, she was able to kill bears with like a, single touch. And she's got this sort of like deceptively simple mind that's like, kind of, charming and nice, but, obviously, like,
It's like
oh, use an extra
terrifying
joint.
at the same time.
Yeah, like that's like terrifying. And like, sort of like, oh, it makes sense. This is kind of the person who would grow up into the most powerful pirate in the world. But I loved like the fact that she didn't belong. She was left behind by her parents because they couldn't manage her. And on one hand it's like, oh, you're terrible. On the other hand, you're kind of like, oh wow, yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe she should have been executed
Yeah.
better. Maybe she can't control her hunger pangs. She goes on these like mood swings. She's this destructive power. Towards the and I love the fact that she's like in this cultural tradition of like we eat semla, and she's like this great moment. She's like indoctrinated with culture, even though she isn't a giant. She feels at home amongst them. With Grandma Carmel, and they, oh, you just have to participate in the fast, and she tries so hard. She wants to be a part of the fast, to be a part of their culture, and worship the sun and become a part of this great Viking tradition. But it's not enough, and eventually, it becomes clear that Big Mom has no sense of self control, and she's a destructive monster, and nearly kills everyone in the Viking village.
um,
And that panel, just like her in the center with everything on fire, and you're like, holy shit. Well, it's kind of funny though. In the world of like being big, like seems like not that big a deal considering how many other superpowers there are in the One Piece universe. Like, oh my god, you have the strength of a giant. Well, I can shoot lasers or become a magma man or armor my body with incredible hockey.
Armored hockey. Yep. This chapter was so good. Uh, Everything I agree with all everything you're talking about it. Just she's just like a horrible demon, like who has the innocence of a child who just wants to fit in but just can't because she's just too damn like powerful and just like it's really tragic actually. You think about it.
Yeah, there's this sort of element of tragic that like she can't control herself. Oh, she's got this fucking disease, like these little fat children who like can't control their appetites and they just eat and eat and eat. And oh, maybe there's someone who could help her, but at the same time though, there's also this sort of like freak. Big Mom is basically like a chimpanzee.
A chimpanzee.
A chimpanzee, because like you get a chimpanzee, you think it's going to be so cute, it's like the most adorable thing in the world, but then they hit puberty and then they become physically stronger than than most humans, and they get this testosterone just like roaring through their system, and it doesn't take a lot to trigger it. Maybe like they want to fight you for territory, or maybe they see someone that's smaller and they just want to tear it apart limb from limb, and they have the capability to do it. And that's why chimpanzees are fucking terrifying. They are terrifying apes that are really, really scary. And you just have to look at that woman who had her face ripped off by a chimpanzee to see that you don't want to fuck with a chimpanzee. If you would be locked
There
in a
was a
room.
There was someone with their face ripped off by a chimpanzee.
Yeah, right. You've never seen the photos? Go look it up.
I don't know. I don't think I
Go-
want to.
You don't. It is the scariest fucking. She had reconstructive surgery, and she still looks awful, and it looks like she lives a miserable existence, and it is terrifying. Like
Just
if you want to be, if you were forced to be locked in a room with like Jason or a chimpanzee, you pick Jason because what's he gonna do? Strangle you, stab you. Chimpanzee will eat your face off, mutilate your balls, bite off your balls, chew off your fingers. This is like an animal that will just like savagely beat you, and that is what Big Mom is basically.
jeez. And
This is
there's like nothing. It's amazing. She starts off being a Yonko basically. She was just like born a Yonko level status essentially. There was like right now there's no one who could even consider like parenting her at the moment. She's just so powerful at the moment.
maybe White like could like I don't know Whitebeard in his prime. I feel like would maybe stand a chance, but I don't know if they're like around the same age or if like Whitebeard's older than her.
I am curious though, like if Big Mom at this point in her age could find an equal to her, because I mean, we don't know how strong Big Mom is. We know that she is one of the four emperors.
Yeah,
right?
and she's got a pretty interesting and versatile fruit, and supposedly she's impenetrable, iron skin, and we can only assume that her strength is magnified. That she's probably like this powerhouse. Although, oh, Greg, did you like the cameo of the other guy though, from the Dressrosa? Did you catch that?
I did catch that. Harudin.
Oh, hold up. Yep, Harudin, the fucking generic giant.
No one cares about him.
Nobody cares about him. But now we care a little bit because we got this backstory about how he was like this little giant fighter.
I guess so.
Giant fighter.
We care about him now.
We don't care a lot about him, but like this flag, it's always nice when Oda like ties the pieces together of like the threads of One Piece to make it feel like a more cohesive whole. So even like shitty background characters who nobody really gives a shit like about, like Harjin, now feels much more integral to the One Piece mythos because he was in the background with Big Mom.
Yeah, I suppose, and it just adds a little bit more fluff to his character. To a character who was already kind of boring, generic.
Yeah,
just
I'm
generic giant. We've already seen a bunch of giants. We appreciated like the giants when they were first introduced, like the two warring giants from the different pirate clans.
Now we know that they're like the legendary like captains of the giant pirates, and Dory and Broggy have like a bigger purpose on the world stage of One Piece than we originally thought.
Yeah, that's true. I was hoping they would reference like the other giant that we meet, I think in where was that place? Ennis Lobby?
Oh, those other two giants? They're not important. They're not as important as Dory and Broggy.
I was hoping they'd just reference all the giants, just like show off all the giants randomly.
The story isn't done yet. We could still see them in the village or something. Maybe they hold down Big Mom. I do love the two giant chieftains with their like epic beards, the Viking beards.
Yeah, those guys are pretty cool.
I like the whole look of Elfbath. I like the whole, we must kill her. She is a child in demon form. And I'm very interested to see what happens to Mother Carmel. And I love the idea that, like, Big Mom's ideals is, like, having a family. Well, we're getting two really important pieces of information about Big Mom. We know Big Mom has a hang-up about giants. That, like, she wanted to be accepted into giants. And, like, one of her big life failings is the fact that, like, she was almost accepted, and then obviously she's going to be exiled, or something bad's going to happen. It's going to kind of ruin her relationship with the giants. And then she had a chance to like rekindle it because we got in the.
This doesn't ruin the relationship with the giants.
Well, remember, they mentioned that like she wanted to marry off Lola to Loki, the prince of the giants, and they mentioned that Loki was born, and that was like her big thing, like.
Okay.
They mentioned that like that was her big attempt to like build mend the bridge with the giant culture, because that's the big missing link. Even though she's kind of a giant, and there are other giant people within her community. She's like that's the one race that's kind of estranged, that she's estranged from, that she doesn't want to be estranged from.
I see. I think she's trying to. I think this sort of gives a perspective that she's trying to fulfill. What's her name? What's her name?
Caramel.
Caramel.
Oh, yeah. She's trying to film Mother Caramel. That was the other thing. So the first one is the fact that her history with the Giants, why she has this sort of fractured, contentious relationship that it's like caused her, a great amount of like psychological trauma and childhood trauma. And then there's the second part, is the fact that that she wants to, her ultimate dream is to have this family that fuck everything in the world. So she has this family of all the races that can all live together.
Yeah, it's essentially the same kind of goal that Mother Caramel has, sort of. It's like, she wants to bring all the children together and live like happily under one roof.
Well, she wants to, put all the dicks of all the various races in her vagina, and then she pops out all the children. God, there's a twisted part of me that wants Oda to explain how the anatomy works and how someone impregnates Big Mom given her girth, and I don't know. She would crush them, and the fact that she has does she just collect semen and have litters of people, so there's 8 children at a time, and maybe one's a fish man, and maybe one's along.
If you think about one of her lieutenants, one of her children, the juicer one, maybe she wrings out all the juice from the males,
maybe
gives it to Big Mom.
Big Mom eats it, or uses a turkey baster, or I don't know. There's a sick, twisted part of me that would love to see a dojin, just explaining how the fuck all of this works in some sort of biology. Not I don't want it to be erotic. This is not sexy porn. This is merely a scientific study of how the fuck any of this works and how is it plausible. Have you ever heard of the Man of Steel, Woman of Kleenex?
No. Man of Steel, Woman of Kleenex?
So in the 70s, there was this famous essay written called Man of Steel, Woman of Kleenex, talking about how, Superman is the last Kryptonian, and how he will always be the last Kryptonian because of his super abilities of his sperm. And it basically gets into this absurd detail about the anatomy of Superman's super sperm, and how, anything anytime he would try and attempt to, impregnate Lois would, kill her, because she wouldn't be able to handle his Kryptonian physiology. That when he ejaculates, it would shoot out beams that would kill her, or if he did manage to somehow get artificially inseminate her, the Kryptonian baby would punch its way out of her womb because her Earth womb wouldn't be able to handle it, and it's kind of this farcical thing. It's just basically taking the anatomy into such incredible detail that it just becomes this ridiculous parody, and that's what I want to see for Big Mom to explain, how she's able to have sex with the fishman, a long leg, long tribe, without killing them. And she's only 60, maybe 70 years old, and assuming that the One Piece universe follows the rules of 9 months of gestation, there's not enough time to produce that many children that she has had. It just does not work by any sort of sense. But then what am I talking about? The rules of One Piece throw
she's
everything.
A Yanko, Isaac. She could do anything.
She is a powerful.
She could have had quintuplets or something like that.
Maybe just to explain it. How does any of this work? We're just supposed to take it at face value. But there's got to be some basic rules here. Are some of the children adopted? Are they not all her biological blood, but we're told that they're her blood, and they all have weird powers, and I want it to make sense.
At least a few of them are probably by blood. You see some of the family resemblance in people like Lola and I don't know, Lola look-alike.
A few here and there. Just so many children, and she just squats them out, and it needs to make sense.
It does. To me, she could have like 20 babies at once and it'd still be okay in the One Piece universe because she's just that, that kind of a badass big mom character. She is Big Mom, Isaac. The name says it all. The name says it all. She can give birth to as many children at the same time.
Maybe that's an addition. She has the womb fruit in addition
to the womb
fruit. Maybe she uses her soul fruit, and that's how she like makes so many fucking children. Because like she doesn't even need to have sex. She just takes the soul, little bits of the soul, out of the people and puts them into her womb, and then she poops out the kid in like 2 seconds. But then again, we also learned about Portuguese Ace's mom, Portuguese Ruse, who had the incredible iron womb and kept him for like 20 months.
Oh, yeah. Just to hide the fact that she was pregnant with Gold Roger's child.
Yeah. So incredible wombs that defy the laws of physics and biology, are possible within the One Piece universe.
Yeah, it's true. So Mother Caramel, she's a very likable character, but it seems like she's too, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for?
Too nice and perfect. Well, I mean, you can say that about all the One Piece mentor characters.
Not like too nice and perfect, but she's like very idealistic about, Big Mom fitting in with all these people. Like this is kind of like a little bit on Mother Caramel in some ways, where
Mother Caramel, like she didn't know she would flip out. Like nobody knew that, like how depths of Big Mom's hunger pangs and rage would occur. So it was an unknown. There was no way she could anticipate it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
There was no.
There were a few warning signs though here and there, just like her killing a bear in one punch, and
there's like but this is like basically like let's say you have a son, Greg, and you're taking your kid to like a temple thing for Judaism, and like it's like, oh my god, this is so boring, and it's like you can stand it, and this is part of your cultural tradition, a part of our ritual, blah 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 blah, and you think your kid can make it through, but then your kid like has a screaming fit like halfway through the service, but this has never happened before. There's no way for you can prepare for that.
Yeah, I suppose.
There was no precedent for Mother Caramel. And, they're just trying to, she wants to be a part of the culture. She loves the culture. She loves the Selma. She says, this is the best day of my life. I love this so much. I just ate Selma.
I guess it's because I have, I have the knowledge that Big Mom is going to become, one of the scariest Yonkou, pirates in the One Piece universe. That's the kind of information I have. And Mother Caramel doesn't have that yet. No
one does. She's just an innocent little girl who's really big due to some sort of weird genetic abnormality.
And she can kill bears with one hit sometimes.
Yeah. She won the genetic lottery for some reason. And Oda might explain it, but at this point, I'll just accept that she was just like this freakishly strong child.
I'll accept that too, really. I really like this chapter. I give this chapter a 10, really.
I like this chapter a lot. 9 out of 10 for me. It wasn't like perfect because we still haven't gotten the full story, and like I need more context. But I like a lot of the things that we're getting. I love the myth building. Like I love it when we see like really big figures and we learn more about them in the One Piece universe. I like the fact that we get to see Elfboth is pretty fucking awesome. This is like
it's like a Norse it's like a Norse village of some kind.
Well, it's awesome because Norse culture fits into like the pirate and seafaring universe of One Piece a bit better than like Halloween Town of Thriller Bark, or I'm trying to think what other crazy things we've seen.
Arabasta.
Yeah, exactly. The Lawrence of Arabia of Arabasta.
Skypiea.
Skypiea does fit in a little bit just because it's got like this themes of like colonial expansion and the meeting with the Aztecs. There's like this heavy influence with the Aztecs with like the Gaians. But like the Vikings feels like a more natural fit. To like, 'cause like I always like it when like there's actual legitimate pirate-y and naval-y stuff in like One Piece, given the fact that it's like grown to a universe where there's like zombies and cyborgs and all other kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's always nice to like see Oda return to the nautical roots because One Piece feels as far removed from piracy as fucking Naruto is from ninjas, laser beams, or Dragon Ball Z is from martial arts. So when you get things like Blackbeard as being like Marshall D. Teach of or Marshall Teach of real life Blackbeard fame,
Uh-huh.
it's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's a good chapter. It was a really good chapter. I like it when Oda finally gives us shit we want to see. But
I think I love the way these chapters are drawn too. I love every time Oda just like touches the paper with like whatever magic he does, like the paneling work, his art. I think all of it is just like really massively done. Like someone who likes to draw comics like myself, I really am inspired every time I look at any of his chapters. That's why I like to rate Oda so high on the scale.
It's funny. Oda gets like a lot of shit. Well, not a lot of shit, but like a lot of people dismiss his artwork because it's like so cartoony. But he manages to incorporate so many other artistic styles and themes and tones and cultures all through like the prism of like the massive world that is One Piece. And it's a really impressive feat. There's like some amazing little pieces of artwork here and there.
Yeah.
That's why One Piece is like this massive magnum opus of the ultimate boys' adventure story.
Yeah. I'm curious. I'm thinking Mother Caramel is gonna like die during this whole encounter.
Yeah, no, I don't think anything good. Like, she's something bad's gonna happen to her. I don't think she's long for this world. Yeah. Well, her presence is kind of interesting. Does Christianity exist in the world of One Piece? We don't really know so far. We've seen like crosses, but we haven't really gotten any like direct Christian like churches and shit and Jesus shit.
Yeah, religion hasn't really been that touched on in One Piece at all.
And I don't know if they did. I always thought it'd be like their own like version of like some real world religion. But it's interesting that like such an explicit symbol as like a nun appears.
Oh yeah, Mother Caramel.
Yeah,
technically a nun.
Yeah, exactly. She's they have that flashback where she saves the giants, and they show her younger, smexier form. I wonder if we'll be seeing Mother Caramel cosplay because that was a nice design, like the badass nun who looks sexy, but
and
like,
she's smoking at the same time.
Yeah, she's smoking at the same time, but and she's kind of reserved in the sense that like she's not like bearing cleavage; she's all covered up. I feel like that's gonna be a popular design.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's interesting to see like Big Mom, Mother Caramel's philosophy reserved into Big Mom's dream of like having the races. It's weird though. I always thought that like Big Mom was going to be made more sympathetic and kind of like misunderstood, and she might still be, but it feels so far they've made her the explicit villain. Originally it was like the Vin Smokes were kind of the bad guys, and I thought like Luffy would like reach some sort of understanding with Big Mom, but now she's more the villain, and the Vin Smokes, well, not good guys, are like kind of like the people at the disadvantage who need to be saved.
It's kind of nice how they did that little twist, because it did really make you think and believe like Big Mom wasn't gonna be that much of a problem as the Vin Smokes like initially, leading up to this whole arc.
Yeah, well, in some ways I'm a little disappointed. I really wanted to have a scene where Sanji kicks the ass of all of his brothers without any handicaps. Like, I wanted that so fucking badly. I wanted to see them all get kicked. So I'm a little disappointed.
They still might at some point, later on.
We'll see. Now it's just sort of like Oda's giving Sanji the high ground by like saving them when their father's groveling and shit. And so that's Sanji's like super badass thing, and this whole is all about his kindness, and Man, I wanted Sanji to kick the shit out of his family so badly.
I mean,
Although
Sanjay is a forgiving guy, you know.
here's my speculation. What I think might happen is like Judge like sacrifices himself to like get his children out of there, and then Reiju takes over the Germa 66, and then she becomes part of the Straw Hat Armada.
Oh, oh, I could see that. That'd
It
be
makes
really cool.
sense. It
That
makes
that actually would be kind of cool for the Armada because it sort of ties into Sanji's family as well, and they're way more interesting than most of the other Armada characters.
Well, I mean, they have a little bit more history. I like their sort of like Sentai Death Trooper theme, and although like the fact that like they've genetic engineering and clone men is cool, but it's taken away by the fact that they're basically mooks, and mooks are useless for older One Piece, even if they're mooks with lasers.
But Big Mom really wants those mooks.
Yeah, I guess she wants those mooks or whatever. I guess advanced technology compete with Vegapunk, but they're still just fucking mooks.
She's willing to go through all this trouble through this elaborate red wedding ruse, just to get those mooks, Isaac. Just for those mooks.
Yeah, she wants those fucking mooks really really badly. I don't know, but I would not be unhappy if they joined the Straw Hat Armada, and it feels like a way to like make Totland feel like even more important to like the larger mythos of One Piece when we eventually get like Marineford times 10 in the eventual super great war that happens after Luffy like gets One Piece.
Whoops.
What's going on there?
My phone went off.
But I think that covers all my short thoughts. Good chapter, validates why I love One Piece is the greatest manga. It's the last stander of the big three. People are scrambling to take its place, or you take up Naruto and Bleach's place. But good old Luffy still travels on, and we're getting closer to that end. Greg, if you had to take a wild guess, what chapter do you think One Piece will end on? Like 1,000, 1,200?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just it could end on any arbitrary number. I feel just on Oda's whim.
Yeah. Well,
maybe like 1,001.
There's a finality to all this that is like more apparent than what we've ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's still, Totland, we still got like, I don't know, good 20 chapters before all this shit is resolved. And then we've got the Wano arc. That's not going to be very short. And then we've got like, there's still a shit ton of plot threads that we need to get through before we, this all wraps up.
Yeah, for sure. And just along for the ride, personally, I'm enjoying everything about One Piece right now.
Well, of course, it's Totland's been probably the best arc in the New World, hands down, the strongest arc. A few little weaknesses here and there, but overall, I think the material of Luffy versus Sanji, the Bin Smokes, Big Mom has all been good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Well, anything else to say about it, Isaac?
I think so. That covers our thoughts. We'll see you, everyone, who's watching this video next week if you want to hear our thoughts as we continue the saga of Big Mom. Remember to like, subscribe, watch my video about, Tomoro Shigaraki from My Hero Academia. It's my first essay video. I'm going to probably do more of those and, my production values.
Definitely should. Those are really good.
Yeah, I have a few other ones I want to do. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and now I'm like getting things to a point where I find it acceptable, and hopefully other people will like them as well.
Yeah. Well, adios, guys.
Adios. See you in the next video.